Hello RPG community, welcome back to my channel. Today, what am I going to talk about? Well, I'm kind of still reviewing Bestiary 4, Wrath of the Righteous Adventure Path, and the greatest book of all, Mythic Adventures. So, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I kind of can tell you a lot about it, but I'd rather get it into play, use it with my group, and then I can get more of a consensus and sort of a feel for it as far as what's good, what's bad, what's okay, what can be improved upon. That's what all my videos are, is things that I've actually used, things that I've actually experienced, and I can give you a more informed opinion on it. So, what I have for you today is I'm going to talk about online gaming. What can I say? Well, I come from a background of just a lot of local groups. It started out pretty good, but then of course they met with a disastrous end. There was a build-up to that. Realizing you spent all those years playing was because there was no other groups available. Nothing that you could find anywhere else, so you kind of just trudged through the problems of your current groups and such, and just dealt with it for many years, just because you wanted to play that much and that badly. So really, you don't have to do that anymore if you are in that kind of situation. For me, it was a lot of local groups where people just they didn't care about it. They were just there to socialize. A lot of them were very lazy about wanting to find out what their class does. Instead, they would get mad and start yelling at people during the middle of the game because they didn't understand it. And then when someone tries to explain it to them what they can do, then they get irate and pissed off, yelling even more loudly and more forceful that they don't understand it. Well, you actually have to read it. You actually have to interpret it and understand it, and questions and answers would follow. But you're not willing to learn. You're not willing to have someone teach you. So that was a lot of that. A lot of people just too busy focusing on what everyone else was doing and saying outside of the game rather than in the game. Lots of petty infighting and a lot of drama. A couple of near cat fights. You could call it a fist fight, but really it was a cat fight because it was two pussies who were determining who had the bigger badge. So, yeah, that's all I could say about that, really. But I did everything I could. I mean, I've built maps constructed from cardboard. I've bought all the resources, the books, and was always willing to do the GM, the game mastering of it, and everyone loved what I did. Everyone enjoyed it, but when the table turned to them, as far as them committing to it, them being loyal to it, them sort of reading the things that they needed to read, they're managing their own resources, like their character sheet or a specific subsystem with knowing how to sail a ship. Wanting to be a captain, but not wanting to know how to maneuver your ship. I mean, a lot of that was just outrageously stupid. So, incredibly selfish, intolerant is the one thing beyond all I could really say to kind of describe it. So, all my local groups failed because of that one thing right there. Not willing to learn, not willing to read. Yeah, so it was strange. But I got lucky. I came across a post on the Paizo forum. I would check, like the recruitment page every once in a blue moon. Just go by it and, oh, okay, someone has a game. Okay, cool. online game where I would even look for like the gamer connection for like local groups. And once in a while, maybe every couple months or so, I would go. And just this one particular time, I saw this one about a guy who had never played, always wanted to, uh, even had a couple startup groups where they're just about to play and then they didn't really do it. So he made a kind of a post about his history and his yearning to learn, because he had his book right in front of him, but he had no one to do it. Even trying to go up to a hobby shop, and they didn't want to do Pathfinder. It was like Magic the Gathering and Warhammer. And don't get me wrong, Magic the Gathering is pretty awesome, but he wanted to do Pathfinder, so he made a long post looking for other people who had these same aims and goals in sight, and I happened to see it and went back to work that day and kind of mulled it over and thought about it, and nervous and apprehension. I don't know if apprehension should say that, but hesitation towards it, not knowing if I could, fulfill the goal of, making a commitment to something I've never done before, which was online gaming. With a group of people I didn't know at all. Normally you start a group and you maybe know one or two people maybe, but starting something up from the ground up with something you've never done before, and not talking about just the rule system, but also the format of having to use a computer program to sort of have your tabletop game. So I kind of thought about it for a few hours, and I went back and I made a post saying that, hey, I like to be a player, but I can also GM, and eventually there was just all these other people that were posting as well. I think even before I made a post, there were a couple people saying they wanted to do it, and for some reason, just my current situation of my last group slowly beginning to dissolve, and never having that positivity, that successful game that I've always wanted. I gave this one a shot. It was a shot in the dark, and a blind step forward into the dark, and that light of the tunnel just opened up with a tremendous flash, a expansive bang to it, flash bang maybe. But found a bunch of people on there, and we talked it over, and I decided which one they were going to do, and well, they decided which adventure path, and I let them. I was pretty open about it all, since they were the majority, the players are the majority, and the GM, runs with it. So I let the majority decide what they wanted to do and which game they wanted to play. And we started off with like 6 or 7 people, I think, but then 2 dropped off quite dramatically, just because nervous or cold feet or unexpected change, or didn't like it, or decided they were looking for something else maybe. But anyway, started with it and just kind of learned to use Maptools, and I am with them for over a year now. Been playing Jade Regent, the adventure path from Pathfinder, and we're about to start on book 5 out of book 6, so that's taken over a year. So we'll probably be done with it. The time we started to the time we finished, probably be about a year and a half. Maybe almost 2 years, who knows. We'll see. But now I'm starting up Wrath of the Righteous. Just had our first session of a week or 2 ago, so I'm going to do that every other couple weeks. So yeah, it's been pretty awesome, and I just kind of want to share that with you. And if you are curious about wanting to have your own online group, the lack of success that you found with local groups, maybe the local hobby gaming store is not open during a time when you're able to play. Maybe you went there and you weren't thrilled with it, or didn't like the setup of it, or you weren't comfortable with the people that were there, or maybe they had the gaming tables were full and there was no way to get in there. That happens a lot too. So online gaming is a door opportunity for you. It's a very wide door, easy to get through. There are a lot of people doing it now. It's growing more and more, and I'm not really not in a MMO sort. This is more of tabletop gaming. Um, you can use Maptools as a program to start a server and host your game on. That one involves more of like coding and such, making macros and all. It's more, um, you can design a lot of stuff in there. There's more expansions and such that you can add to it, more features of it to the interface. Or you can do Roll20, which the website hosts the program, and you do it all through that program there. I think there's a slight less features. I don't think you can expand upon it too much. I haven't really tried Roll20.net or whatever it is, but Maptools is the one I've used, and that's probably the one I'm going to stick with just because I spent so much time making all this stuff for it, so it's pretty good. I don't think I'll ever go back to a local group again. As much success and as much fun as I've had, the inspiration I felt, the loyalty, the overwhelming amount of success. I mean, it's online gaming is for me. I'm not gonna go back to any of those doors I previously closed. So this is the way. If you're looking for a game, you're searching, you want to know how to play Pathfinder, you want to get into it, this is the way to go. You can get onto the Paizo forums, and they have people recruiting all the time for online games. You can go to Roll20.net's website. There's a lot of looking for groups there. I mean, you can do all kinds of different searches with like Yahoo groups. There's quite a few of those. It's just easier to do it online. I mean, think about what you have to do locally. You have to coordinate. You have to travel to that place. Even when you get there, people are going to probably want to order food. There's even more of a delay. You got people having to leave early, come in late due to some sort of life event. Problems with transportation, or someone calls and they need someone to go over there right away. So I mean, you have all this different things. Maybe the guys are playing video games, that can always delay. I've had that before. One guy's got his Nintendo DS or whatever right there, and he's doing it during the whole game. It's just like unfucking believable. So so let me show you Maptools. Let me show you what it looks like, show you what I do, where I spend a few hours each week playing it out. It's going to be a little noisy as I start to move this over. Please bear with me as I kind of get this somewhat situated and set up here so you can kind of see it all. But let's see if you can see this a little better. I think that might be pretty good. I'll keep trying to adjust it here and there, but this is what the Maptools looks like. As you can see, you got your map here. You can have your grid on. Show grid. And you can zoom all the way in. You can move your map around. You can drop and drag any image you want. Let me turn off the fog of war, so it's a little brighter now. You can see a lot easier. But here's what I do. I make these little token monsters, and you can see his hit points are highlighted, his AC for regular, touch, and flat-footed. And then all the way over here you see a list of buttons. You push these buttons and they can attack, they can take away hit points or raise hit points. It tells you their speed. If they're trying to stabilize, there's a button for that. A reflex, fortitude save, maybe a perception check, a stealth check, combat maneuver. But yeah, I usually start with a template, just so I have all these buttons already labeled and pre-colored, and the lines of coding are already there, where all I have to do is just drop and drag a line of text from like the D20 PFSRD site, or if you happen to use a PDF or something. But yeah, if I want to attack somebody, I just click the bite button, and there's the damage. Giant Centipede is melee roll 21, nice hit, and damage already calculated there for your electronic dice roll. He did 4 damage, and then I got a little thing on the side here that says plus poison. Well, if I'm ready to reveal that, you can choose to make this information private or displayed to everybody, but you can click the poison button, and it already calculated the poison effect for you. And then it tells you the frequency and the save DC, and how many cures it'll take to make it go away. Someone shoots a fireball at it, let me make a reflex save. So it's all these pre-calculated rolls and lines of text. I mean, just imagine trying to prep for like a high-level spellcaster and having to look up all those spells, flipping through pages of text, trying to look up what this one spell did again. Well, let me bring along one of my mythic creatures I just made. Mythic Akinosa. He's a Arania sorcerer of tremendous power. But you can see the list of macros that I made. It takes like a couple hours to build. Now, if you're doing like a low level, like you're starting off, you can make like a dozen monsters in a matter of like 2 hours. But if you're gonna make something high level, like a CR11, CR15 or something, and there's like a slew of spells on there, you could spend like 2 hours to like make all those spells. So create the entire token array. So just looking at some of these things here, you can see I have all those different types of attacks, like with a bite or with a full attack with 2 daggers. There you go. He does 2 different separate attack rolls there. They're listed. You got combat maneuvers. Maybe decides to use his wand of lightning bolt. Push of a button. All the text information is there. As far as the range, the area, the duration, there's your damage roll right there, 5d6. I got a 10, which was a pretty shitty roll. Tells you if there's spell resistance involved, the reflex DC save and throw required. And I even listed some spells that he already has currently casted on himself, like blur and mirror image. So you don't have to remember which ones he did. You can always right click on it, click the edit button, and you can kind of look at the information there. Or you can just post it and you can have it go to just yourself or the whole group. And then everything in purple is all the spells. These are all my spells. So with just a simple click of a button, you can streamline your gameplay. Let me cast that chain lightning to hit multiple enemies. And I just copy and pasted what was on the D20 SRD site for Pathfinder, and just copy and pasted, the casting time, the range, and targets and such, and then this other little box here, that's the actual crunch of the information there as far as the damage it deals to the primary target and what goes to the secondary targets and such. So it's pretty nice, pretty intuitive. Makes the gameplay go really fast compared to like a local group. With just the pages and the books you're swapping out and such. I mean, you can still have your bestiary book right next to you if you just want to quickly, look at something, but all your information, at least with what I do, is I put everything I can on there, just so I'm not having to make any sort of slight delays in the gaming experience for me and then for my players as well. So that's what I got. One of my players was nice enough to make a critical hit and critical miss deck. Let me drop those 2 tokens on here. They're pretty cool.
So we got the critical fumble deck and then the critical hit deck. Like critical fumble, let's say you confirm your natural 1. So you just, I guess it was melee. And there we go. You drop whatever was in your offhand. Melee critical fumble. Maybe you got a critical hit. Let's see here. Maybe it was with a slashing weapon. Lean into the blow. Triple damage, but you drop your weapon. Oh, that's a shitty critical hit deck. You drop your weapon. Oof. That's kind of a boon and a bane in itself. Maybe you got a magical critical hit. There you go. Combustion. Double damage. If a fire spell target catches fire, taking 6 fire damage per round until extinguished. So, these are pretty nice to use. You can, push a button just like you would drawing a card, and it gives you all the information right there. Maybe you want to, as a GM, you want to have like a random encounter roll. I made one myself. How appropriate. The picture I labeled for my macro is the random encounter. The operative word here is random. You're driving down the street and you see a guy with his pants down, jumping out at you. So that's kind of the definition of my little random there. And if you were to look at the information for your random encounters, I can just click what happens during the day. Do they encounter anything? I have hidden information there that I sent to myself where it shows I rolled a 1d100 and there's a 10% chance of an encounter each day, so I rolled a 7, so there's definitely an encounter. And then in the little table down here it shows I rolled another 1d100 to determine which encounter would be on that list. So it was rolled a 58, so I have a colony of giant tarantulas that will attack them. Maybe this encounter was done at night. So I'll just click the night button there, and it tells me what else that could come at them. So you don't have to sit there and page flip so much. You don't have to deviate. You can streamline everything that you do with this program. It's pretty nice. And off to the left side here you can see all the different tokens that I've made that I can just drop and drag right in there, make them visible or make them hidden. And this is what I use. You'll spend a couple hours each week if you have a weekly game to build up your macros and tokens and such. Nice thing about it though is if there are a lot of it's coming from like this bestiary stock monsters, then once you get them you can reuse them again. So you don't have to recreate your work. You can have a lot of that stuff saved and then reuse it over and over again. Especially you can trade it off to someone else in your group who may be running the game and might want that dire board that you made. So for a chance encounter or something planned or whatever. You can have community tokens. So you can find a lot of things that you can download as well that people have done or added to it and such. You can add a lot of furniture to this. You can just drop and drag images for your maps. You can change the grid layout. There's different layers for what's hidden, what's the background. You can draw right onto this. You can make little spell effect templates and such. I'm not a master with this program. I just have some novice sort of advice and experience here. I'm not in any way a major coder or anything like that. I have other people in my group who are just sheer geniuses with this stuff. So that's all I got. That's all I can really talk about anyway. Well, yeah, it's quite fun. This is what I use, the Maptools. It's a free program.
you can use. I believe Roll20 is as well. So, yeah, the only setback is the amount of hours that you would put into this. But really, I think you're doing that anyway as a GM with a local group when you're having to read about certain monsters, having to lay out your maps or paint your miniatures or whatever else you add to it. So, I find this to be a lot faster, more in depth. You can really immerse yourself into it. As far as being able to talk to people, you can use Skype or Mumble. So you can, all chat, and then also look at the chat window there for things that you type or buttons that you hit to display information. So, and if you don't want to spend that couple hours I mentioned about with making your monster tokens and such, well, you can type everything out. You don't have to have it all copy and pasted into the button. You can type it out. Let me show you one more thing I forgot to show you here. I don't think I would explain this, but here we go. Clicking on a creature. As far as making these little macros and such and buttons and what have you, like your combat maneuver, just right click and edit that button, and there's all like the code you would see there. This is just like the color of the border and the color of the text, and then you can make like a little border for the dice roll there, which the CMB is 1d20 minus 1 for his combat maneuver bonus roll there. But really you can just edit one line there, if you have a template set up where you got all these pre-colored and pre-text out and such, and you just need to change maybe a few lines of text without having to change the actual code. So really just a lot of copy and paste if you happen to go this route of making all these different buttons for your tokens. Like this is just the banner up here, and you got your melee roll right there, and I break the line, I go down to the next line for damage. So it does 1d6 minus 1 plus poison, break that line, and that's the end of that table. So really it's not a lot, really. The only part that you're going to have to really worry about is just spells. If you want to have that information in there or not. So spells is the only thing that really takes up a lot of your time if you decide to go the copy and paste route, just because there's a lot of textual, I don't know if that's even a word, or information, lines of text, a lot of lines. So I think that I pretty much explained everything there. I've made all the tokens for Jade Regent. I'm started on Wrath of the Righteous, and I did a couple of the modules already, like the Harwin, the Ruby Phoenix tournament, which I'm currently engaged with, and then Shattered Star at some point here, which I think I did 1 or 2 so far. But it's a lot of dedication and effort, but it's well worth it on my part. But you can choose how much involvement, how much time you want to spend with it. But it's pretty easy stuff. So these are just my suggestions and my insight on a very, very positive outlook that I've had using this and what I've experienced from online games. So I hope this information has been good for you, insightful, and something you can take away from this with your pursuit of finding a game for online. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, maybe, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to answer anything. As I mentioned kind of briefly, I think before in the very beginning of the video, I'll be posting something for Bestiary 4, Wrath of the Righteous, and Mythic Adventures soon, once I get those fully under my belt with the experience and all the layers of the depth to those. But, yeah. Hopefully I'll have many more years gaming with this particular group. Yeah, maybe you could post me your success stories. Maybe with online gaming, particularly. Maybe you have some questions with Maptools. I've had many of my own that I've had answered from my groups, so hit me up if you encounter any problems, or if you would like some of the macros that I've made. Like one of my players is willing to share his critical hit and critical fumble deck. He gave us permission to share those. So yeah, if you need any help with that, please let me know. That's really all I got. So this is just sort of a video just kind of showcasing my online gaming, my group, and just very overjoyed with everything. So that's all I got. See ya.